Good morning on this Sunday. I wanted to bring you some breaking news. I'm traveling, but there is some breaking news on President Trump's attempts to squash the mail-in ballots in Pennsylvania. Now, this is near and dear to my heart because I was an absentee ballot, mailed my ballot, and I was encouraging so many people, if you've been watching my show, get your mail-in ballots done. You don't need to go to a polling place during a pandemic to risk infection. This is incredibly important. Members of the military, people that are serving bravely overseas who send in their ballots. President Trump's legal team, who looks like it was headed up by 4-year-olds, by the way, was set a major blowback, major defeat overnight. Literally just hours ago, the Pennsylvania Supreme Court has dismissed the lawsuit against mail-in ballots with prejudice. Now, when something is dismissed with prejudice, you can have something that's dismissed without prejudice or something that's dismissed with prejudice. When it's dismissed with prejudice, that means they cannot retry the same pleading. They have to basically go back to the drawing board, come up with some other argument in order to try to push this through. But it is pretty damning. And I want to kind of go through this opinion here because, by the way, I want to make it clear that the Pennsylvania Supreme Court, the justice who penned this opinion, was a Trump-appointed judge. A Trump-appointed judge, a Republican Trump-appointed judge, basically said that this lawsuit was, quote, without merit. And if it's a scathing rebuke. It almost looks like these lawsuits by the Trump legal team were written by like first-year legal students. Poorly worded, poorly executed, and they were basically laughed out of the Supreme Court. Now, they're going to, of course, try to go around this and try to take it all the way to the main Supreme Court in Washington, D.C. We'll see if the Supreme Court in D.C. even wants to hear this thing. But right now, I want to go through the Pennsylvania Supreme Court decision. They dismissed it with prejudice, and they were hoping to invalidate more than 2.5 million votes cast by mail. This was, of course, the latest in a string of defeats for the Trump campaign. At the same time, he's sort of publicly conceding right now and yelling at reporters, but then his legal team is continuing this farce in the legal system. The justices on the state high court ruled unanimously. There was not one dissenting voice. Republicans, Democratic judges, they all said that this was a joke, okay? So before you're one of those partisan people out there saying, this is all fraud, the state Supreme Court said that they failed to even produce one example. One example. Oh, but we have overwhelming evidence of fraud. Okay, so then why didn't you show the court your overwhelming evidence? Wouldn't that have been a good opportunity for you to do so? Overwhelming evidence, my ass. So, the Republican petitioners waited too long to file their suit, which they were challenging Act 77, which is the 2019 law that established universal mail-in voting in Pennsylvania. Now, this is the same thing that many other states have in place, universal mail-in voting. They said that they waited over a year to file a petition against this law. So that's what they were basically trying to do, was say this law is illegal. You would have had 6.9 million voters disenfranchised. So the court's written order called the latter option extraordinary, noted that it would disenfranchise 6.9 million voters. This is my favorite part of their whole opinion, showing you how ridiculous this lawsuit is. Look, America is known as a sue-happy country, right? But the good news is that the law actually works. When someone writes a terrible legal opinion, a terrible lawsuit, it gets thrown out. And so here's what the court said. This is the Supreme Court said, the lack of due diligence demonstrated in this matter is unmistakable, the justices wrote. Basically saying, they didn't do any freaking homework. They didn't do any due diligence when they filed this lawsuit. The justices wrote that the lawsuit was filed more than 1 year after the no-excuse mail-in voting was enacted in Pennsylvania. The order blamed petitioners for a, quote, complete failure to act with due diligence in commencing their facial constitutional challenge, which was ascertainable upon Act 77's enactment. They're basically saying there was a total failure by Trump's legal team to act with due diligence. This is the state Supreme Court. You don't get more damning. And by the way, again, I will say it again because it's worth repeating. This justice put in place by Trump. And the concurring justice, David N. Wecht, noted that the GOP petitioners, quote, failed to allege that even a single mail-in ballot was fraudulently cast or counted. Massive voter fraud. But yet we can't prove one of them. Legal experts had predicted little chance of success in this suit, of course, trying to block the election results. They've gained no substantive traction in this whatsoever, with more than 24 cases trying to undermine President-elect Joe Biden's win since Election Day. They've been almost all of them thrown out with there's no evidence whatsoever. And yet we keep hearing from crackpot lawyers like Sidney Powell and nutjob Rudy Giuliani saying that we have overwhelming, voluminous evidence. But when it comes time to prove to the Supreme Court that you have even one vote that's fraudulent, you can't do it. By the way, I should mention that the recounts that have unfolded in Wisconsin and other places have actually yielded more ballots now for Biden. They were able to recount, there was about 257 ballots discovered in Wisconsin that had not been processed properly. And the number for Biden went up. And the number for Trump also went up, but Biden's by 2-1 margin. So here is the ruling is a procedural setback in Pennsylvania for Trump when a temporary order blocking further certification of election results was stayed now on this appeal. They said basically now the state asked the Supreme Court to exercise extraordinary jurisdiction in this case. Done. So now they can go forward and certify these election results. Trump attorney Jenna Ellis said in an interview on the OAN network, your most trusted source of news, that the team is weighing its options for taking the Pennsylvania case all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. She says there are multiple vehicles and ways to get to the Supreme Court. That may be through the Third Circuit. It may be through other means. So they're not giving up. This has become a ridiculous political game, she wrote, adding that the post-election litigation represents a fight for the very integrity of our entire system. Judge Stefanos Bibas, who was appointed to the court by Trump, said this case had no merit in a scathing opinion that he wrote. This case has no merit, written by a Trump-appointed judge to the Supreme Court of Pennsylvania. This farce. It's amazing that this thing is even allowed to continue. So there you go, some breaking news just overnight out of my home state of Pennsylvania, that this the latest case, the latest Trump case has been dismissed with prejudice in another big defeat for President Trump. So there you go. Again, wanted to bring this to you on this Sunday. I hope you're having a wonderful day. Please, if you like these videos, you like our content here on the channel, remember, we try to cover these stories unbiased and give you the straight scoop. Please subscribe to the channel, smash that like button, and we will see you back here tomorrow for our normal show. Have a great weekend, everyone.